Welcome to the Remington podcast, where we take a deep dive into all things ammunition. I'm your host, Audrey Mayes, and today I'm joined by Jason Slinkard, Director of Rimfire Ammunition, and Research and Development Engineer Leland Mason.
How's it going?
We're here to talk about a couple of new Rimfire SKUs, Rimfire products that we have just put out, released at SHOT Show, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the ones that I'm very excited about is something called Ranch Hand. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, Ranch Hand. I'll let Leland get into the technicals because he's the one that designed it. He did an awesome job with it. But Ranch Hand, we want you to think of as ultimate reliability. So we saw a need for a 22 that works on all the problematic 22s that are out there. And we all know which ones they are. They're usually the hammer-fired 22s because they need a lot of blowback pressure to overcome the hammer spring in the models. So I brought the challenge to Leland, give me a round that will function in all these problematic firearms. And it's not that they're problematic for to say, it's that it just takes a lot of blowback, to get them to go back.
Ammo selective, right? Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of that is probably because a lot of the firearms that it's designed for are not necessarily supposed to be scaled down models, or they are, but they're not mechanically scaled down. So they're usually at a cheaper price point, right? Materials are slightly different, and then the way rimfire cartridges are designed, right, especially with them being rimmed, is not very conducive to good reliability in semi-automatic firearms, right? Like, you don't think of a rimmed cartridge in a centerfire semi-automatic firearm. You see it, you think of that as like a revolver or something like a lever action. So you're taking something that would typically be used in a totally different platform and using that in all types of firearms rimfire. So there's a few specific challenges, which we can get into later about that specific detail about rimfire. So,
yeah, I mean, the main point of it all, though, was to come up with something that if the consumer has a gun or they inherited a gun that, like I said, they took it to the range and it is ammunition finicky, which there are a lot of marks, especially like Leland will get into it. If you shoot a lighter bullet, a lot of the hammer-fired guns don't like a lighter bullet because there's not enough dwell time because it's a higher velocity. And it just doesn't give it the back pressure you need. So we wanted it to be something simple where you could just go out and the customer can be like, I'm having a little bit of finicky. I know no matter what, it's going to work with Ranch Hand when I grab it off the shelf.
Yep, and that's also noteworthy between clean and dirty firearms.
Right.
So even if you've got a reliable gun, but it's dirty and you're going to have compromised reliability, Ranch Hand will help you get that reliability.
It'll work a lot longer.
Yep, for sure.
In between cleanings.
Definitely. I mean, rimfire is notorious, like you guys were saying, for not cycling well through semi-automatic guns, which is, I assume, is what you're talking about. So you want something that is going to go off when you pull the trigger. It's going to reliably hit the target where you want it to hit and cycle true to your gun.
Correct.
That's right. Yep.
Right. So you were talking about gun types.
Yep.
And can you tell me a little bit about the different gun types of 22?
Oh, I mean, what we see a lot of times is the majority of the guns out there are the famous guns like the 1022 in semi-auto or their 2245 or there's a plethora of guns out there now that are out there and great quality firearms. Walther makes good ones, SIGs. I mean, there's a bunch of them, but to find rounds that work in all of them is a challenge a lot of times because there are different operating systems for all of them. And there's different weights. Like a lot of times you pick up like the Glock 44 and everybody's like, ooh, that slide's really light. Well, they have to do that so they have enough blowback to get the slide to function properly.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good example too. So like kind of going off what I said earlier, where some of the guns are made to replicate like a full-size model, like call it like you have your 9mm, full-size handgun, right? Or even a compact gun like the Glock 19. Well, Glock released the 44 so that you could buy a 44, have the exact same gun cosmetically and functionally as your 19, but you can shoot it at a lower price point.
Yeah, to help you practice and everything else.
Which is a valid point. And it's not just for, planking. It's a really great training exercise to have in that. But that gun, for example, is made to be as mechanically similar to the centerfire counterpart, the 19, as possible. You have certain guns in other companies where they're made to be very similar in form and function, but mechanically it's a completely different gun. Almost every single rimfire handgun, especially on the market, is going to be blowback So whereas your centerfire guns are a little bit more complex, you have a delayed short recoil locking system. Delayed blowback is what it's called. That prevents the cartridge from being ejected when it's under a high pressure, which you need in a centerfire round with higher pressure. Rimfires are straight blowback, which means that any action cycling is going to draw its energy to actually reciprocate from the back pressure of the cartridge. So in that case, rimfire, right, when you shoot the bullet, or your firing pin hits the primer, or the rim, which hits the primer, that explodes and ignites the propellant or the powder, pushes the bullet down, and the pressure pushing on the rear of the bullet is going to have a reaction to push the case rearward, and that's what causes your action to cycle. So that's why it's very important, kind of going off what Jason said, to have the back pressure, because you need that, especially in that case, to cycle the gun. And then the other part of that is, with your bullet weight, right, you're going to resist that pressure, so you're going to have a lot more inertia. That bullet's not going to want to move as fast. You're going to have more rearward pressure. That helps. That was definitely a consideration that was taken in designing both the hollow point and the round nose versions of range hand. And that is a very critical part in use in all different guns. So you got different barrel lengths, right? Your dwell time is the time the barrel or the bullet is traveling through the barrel. The longer your dwell time, the more impulse you have on the slide, right? Or the action. In that case, 1022 doesn't have a slide, but that was something to consider. And to get something to work in a 2-inch barrel semi-automatic versus a 16-inch rifle barrel is not necessarily trivial, right? It takes a little bit of trial and error. So that's just something, that goes into that. But making it work in all those different types of firearm platforms, some of them are striker fired. Again, Glock 44, for example, and the Taurus G2C, or not the G2C, sorry, the TX22. That's a striker fired handgun, whereas a lot of those other guns, like the Walthers, your new FN 502, even something like the newer SIG P322, it looks like a striker-fired handgun, but it's an internal hammer gun.
Or like a lot of the Beretta Bobcat. Yep. And Beretta made that 92 version of a 22.
Yep.
Yeah, all of those they're all using that hammer. So not only do you have to come back, you have to have enough force that it will cock the hammer and defeat that hammer spring and still cycle and function reliably. And
the hammer, to cock the hammer back takes a significant amount of force, right? I mean, you can feel it. If you cycle a gun with no ammo in it and the hammer's forward and you have to cock it, it's completely different than if you have to cycle the action with the hammer cock. So getting a cartridge that provides enough back pressure to cycle that is important. Well, but like I said, you have to design that round, and range hand was designed with that in mind, that you have to be able to work in all those platforms. And through our testing, we were able to do that. The testing showed that range hand was a very reliable round in both round nose and hollow point variants. Yeah,
I believe your stats you showed me the other day in my office, where you're doing 3 times better than the closest competitor as far as reliability rate in those what we would call challenging firearms.
Yep. So what we did in the development of range hand is we took product from the industry that we deemed to be our highest competition, right? And compared it to our, some of our current product as well as previous product, and just some flat out prototype designs. And over the course of developing the finalized product of range hand, which you're going to get as a consumer of it today, we shot over 34,000 rounds in testing of this gun, or this cartridge rather, and load through a multitude of firearms. And compared to the closest and highest performing competitor, we beat them by a factor of 3. So apples to apples, our round nose beat by a factor of 3. Actually, it's technically more than that if you leave out a few details that were not specific to the design of the product, the range hand itself. And then even our hollow point variant, which hollow points are industry-wide, centerfire, rimfire, everything.
They're sticky.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many different feed ramps out there.
Right.
And that's what, honestly, with a hollow point, one of your biggest enemies is the feed ramp of the firearms. That's why Leland did an awesome job designing both these bullets. He redesigned the front end of all of these so it really functions slick, no matter what type of feed ramp you have in the firearm.
That was definitely the hardest part. And there's so many different magazine approach angles to the chamber. Like, for some guns, the rounds are presented into the chamber almost straight on, right? I mean, if you think of like, for best comparison, like if you know what a Beretta 92 is, if you ever look at the way the cartridge is presented to the chamber, it's almost straight in line. But compared to like some rimfire guns, there's definitely some unique designs out there. Magazines are totally different the way that they stack, and just by nature of that, you have some presentation angles that almost shove the round straight up into the top of the chamber. So like being able to make a bullet profile that is going to adapt or is going to work in all those different, scenarios was also challenging and taken into consideration for the design of both. But the hollow point, even in that, going back on what I was saying, the reliability on that beat every round nose competitor that we tested.
The hollow point did.
Yeah, our hollow point did.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that was, I think that was kind of the moment where it was like, okay, like,
we got something here.
We're feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I'm excited about this product. It works extremely well. I've been playing with it now for the last couple of months. Every time he comes out with a new version, I've been taking it, shooting it, everything from my Volkortsons down to my Glocks and my Ruger Wranglers. I mean, it functions flawless no matter what you're pumping it through. My AR-22s, I absolutely love it. I mean, and that was the goal. The goal is to have something where if you shoot Steel Challenge, why wouldn't you want to run this product? Because it's the most reliable you're going to get. So that was kind of one of our ideas too, is let's give something that a competitor that shoots Steel Challenge where you're functioning in a semi-automatic and the difference between a jam and winning is one jam.
One shot. Yeah.
And that's...
We
sent it. Right, that's what Leland's about to say. We sent it
like,
to Steel Challenge. Yeah.
Great plug. This is something that we're all pretty happy to hear, but...
Well, it's almost like I meant to do that.
Yeah. So one of the Rimfire engineers, he's the process engineer, Ben, is a big Steel Challenge shooter. He's the Remington sponsored shooter for Action Pistol and Steel Challenge. And anyway, he went to Steel Challenge Nationals this year. I think it was like a month ago or so.
Yeah,
just
very recently.
Yep. And he took some pre-production ammo, but exactly how it's going to be made in production. It was just the prototype ammo that we had run our final run and we're testing here as well. And like I said, exactly how the product's going to be delivered. But he was shooting it and had, I think out of like 500 rounds, he had one malfunction. And it was after his gun was so dirty that...
Yeah, I was going to say...
It was filled with sand.
Yeah, like it was barely cycling.
Yeah, I think he contributed. When I talked to him, he said it was most likely it was magazines because he dropped them in the dirt.
In the sand. Yeah, which is part of it. And in those Steel Challenge matches and in USPSA and any Action Pistol, PCSL, any of that stuff, your gun just gets so dirty. So like that's something we also try to consider. And there's some details about that we can talk about that Ranch Hand has incorporated into it. But anyway, there was a competitor he was shooting with who was using a round that is known industry-wide to be very, very reliable, and was having some issues towards the end of his stages with failures. He was just getting all kinds of malfunctions, and he couldn't make it through a stage. It was like, 1 to 2, 3 rounds.
Mishaps.
Yeah, each time. And when you're at Steel Challenge Nationals and you're trying to get your stages, you only have 12 stages or whatever to shoot as good as you can.
Right.
Anytime you have to clear, screw around with your gun, get it out, pull the mag out, whatever, and then get it back in and keep shooting, that's just time that's eaten away, and you might as well forget it.
Right.
Well, anyway, Ben was like, well, it's kind of odd, like what's going on? Well, here, just,
try this.
For whatever, try our Ranch Hand. And he ran the rest of his stages without a single malfunction. So that's like
impressive.
Turned on and off his problem. So that was definitely a good endorsement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was Ranch Hand being used in its intended purpose for sure, especially the round nose. So
yeah, that round nose is awesome when it comes to function.
Also very accurate. I might add that. Like the accuracy we got out of that round was not unprecedented, but it was like wow, like we don't even need to. That's not even a consideration anymore because it was shooting better than our current product does at the moment in other platforms. And I mean, we shot it through match rifles, like match chamber rifles, and the groups that we were seeing out of it even at 100, extended range was very good. So we were happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, just coming from you guys saying that you guys shoot 22 all the time. So for you guys to say, yeah, this is impressive, I think that's enough.
It's
that's
impressive.
enough.
And the hollow point version of it that he's made is awesome for small game. You can go out and have a good time with it. And
Also very accurate.
Yeah.
The profile difference between the two is very similar. The only difference, of course, being hollow point. So like the benefit we got in accuracy from the round nose was applied to the hollow point as well. And I would even say the hollow point benefits from it more because it's probably going to be used in a hunting application more.
Right.
You're gonna, especially with varmint hunting, you're going to need that. So that was a good added, merit to that round as well.
So what makes it different? You were telling me a little bit about the components and things that went into the testing and, what you added, what you took away. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yep. So ranch hand is different than all of our products in a few different ways, all other products. It's unique, I might say. The first being in that for the first time since a long time ago, and I mean like definitely before 1979, ranch hand has an entirely new knurl wheel design, a knurled bullet design than any other product. So all of our other products use the very iconic and very neat looking Remington like traditional knurl design. So like if for anybody that doesn't know what a knurl is, when you look at your cartridge, of course you have your case and then your bullet, and on the bullet you've got that kind of like sawtooth ridged groove. It looks like a cantilever on a centerfire bullet.
That's a good way to put it.
That's the knurl, right? And it has a few mechanical purposes, but its primary result is product identification, right? Between different products. Like you can say like, oh, it's got 3 or that's got 2, that's this product, that's that product.
Right.
Well, ranch hands has a technical functional purpose, and every other product that we have has at least 2 knurls, totally different design. Ranch hand is designed to have a single knurl that is designed to be as smooth and as slick as possible. So you're never going to have the knurl catch on your chamber, which is what you see in a lot of firearm applications using competitive product just in the industry. It's just that knurl, that edge, any kind of edge like that catches on those chambers. So ranch hand, there was a lot of math that went into doing that to make that knurl as smooth and as geometrically symmetric as possible. So that was one thing. The other thing is that your typical rimfire bullet, right? The bullet is going to have a shoulder profile. So the shoulder, you can it's basically the bearing surface, right? That's the section that gets engraved by the rifling. When you look at a normal rimfire bullet, the most typical rimfire round that you're going to go buy at the store, you're going to see your ogive, the curved round profile, and then you're going to see a relatively sharp edge of that shoulder. And that shoulder is going to be the same diameter as the rest of the case. That's what's unique about a 22 long rifle. But ranch hand has a chamfered edge at the end of that, or at the top of that shoulder, so that you don't get any kind of sharp edge for a chamber to catch on. So if you, even just sitting and holding 2 random rounds together, one of them being ranch hand, you can feel how much smoother that round is just because there's
just by rubbing your finger over it.
There's nothing to get stuck on. That was critical in the design of that round, and that attributed, those 2 things attributed to probably the largest change in reliability result we saw. The other thing is that we, of course, with ranch hand, use Remington's proprietary plating process, and that's why we have the copper bullet. So it's designed to limit lead fouling in your barrel. But on top of that, we also lubricate ranch hand. So you get basically a double layer shield between the lead and the barrel of your gun. And through testing, which every time we tested these guns, they would be cleaned in the same manner every single time, usually by myself too, even just to make sure that it was like the same dudes clean it at the same time every way. Right. The amount of lead fouling between competitive product and ranch hand over the 500 rounds we put through each gun through each test. It was 4,000 rounds overall for a test when we made a new edition of ranch hand every single time. At the end of that testing, the barrels would be cleaned, and there was like literally no fouling at ranch hand at all. Like we were getting cleaning rods stuck in barrels with other product and like lead bullets, or even other plating processes within the industry. Like, you know, I was having to like almost like arbor press push out cleaning patches, and like just it was rough. And ranch hand, it was like honestly, aside from it looking dirty, you could barely tell you'd shot through it. So,
And does that affect like internal ballistics as well?
100%. So we're able to get improved velocities while retaining safe pressures within the gun because of the added the lube or the wax, right? However you want to call it. But so that was one other feature, and then there were a couple other small mechanical things that we did in the ranch hand to help that. But the other main bit of that, the thing that really made the biggest difference for a user perspective, is the wax, the lube that we use does not get your hands as dirty. It also doesn't get the gun as dirty.
Yeah, I mean, there's really two key things to function, and that's what Leland's talking about. The first one is simple feeding. It's got to make it into the chamber and cycle in that chamber every time. And then the second part of it is it's got to be able to extract out of that chamber and have enough pressure to operate it.
Right.
So when Leland was developing it, you got to answer both of those problems. And the guns that are finicky, I mean, the bullet might feed perfect every time, but if it doesn't have enough dwell time and it doesn't have enough back pressure, it's not going to cycle. Right. And generally, like when you go step down in bullet weight, when you're shooting the 29 grainers and things like that are out there, that's where you'll usually get a lot of problems out of the hammer fired guns, is because you're shooting at a higher velocity because it's a lighter bullet and it just doesn't have the dwell time to cycle it back. So there was really two big things that we had to overcome with ranch hand, and that it was both of those. You have to design a bullet that functions flawless, and then you have to do the homework on the back end to make sure that it has got enough back pressure to work the actions.
Yeah, you got to get in the chamber, and then you got to get it out.
Right.
Like those two things are completely independent of each other. So
Different things affect both of those.
Yep.
And with dwell time, is that difficult because you want a high velocity round, but you need that back pressure, right?
yeah, there's a balance. I mean, you have to do a lot of iterations and testing, and you know, for even on a research and development side, like it's not an easy process to load rimfire, right? It's not like you can go, you know, if you were like, let me put it this way. As a consumer, you don't hear a lot of people hand loading rimfire.
Correct.
Right.
But everything else they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to work into Remington process and development and make time for that and effort. It took a lot of effort to do all those different iterations and figure out the velocity and the pressure we needed to get there and the lube and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was a significant amount of focus that was put into that to get there. So, yep. I'll also say one other thing. The intent of those plating and the lube and all that kind of stuff really helps the gun function I forgot the word I was trying to say, but like when it's dirty, right? I won't try to use some super
fancy
smart
science word.
like engineering words. No, like it just when it gets dirty, that stuff really helps it continue to cycle, because that was the thing we saw a lot is like certain products you would shoot and they would be great until, you know, 350, 400 rounds. And then it was like, you were like smacking the gun and like, it was semi-jam-o-matic. So like, you don't want that.
Semi-jam-o-matic. I like that.
So yeah, that was something that really helped us with those kind of extended testing periods when the guns was really dirty, is the lube. So
yeah. And I mean, I don't know about everyone else out there, but when I shoot 22, it's because I want to shoot a lot.
Oh,
so
yeah. It's easy to shoot a lot too.
Yeah.
Like it's at a cheaper cost point, and yeah, it's not like shooting hand or like centerfire handgun or rifle or shot. You're not going to wear yourself out either. So.
Right, exactly. It's a lot of fun. I'm really excited to shoot ranch hand. I haven't gotten a chance to do it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Another product that you guys just put out was Golden Hunter.
Yes.
And it is a 22 round that's focused on hunting, correct?
Great. When we looking at what the consumer is demanding right now, and I mean, yeah, we make a lot of rounds you can hunt with, but we wanted to make a round where it didn't matter if you were using your old revolver you had or you're going out with a bolt gun or a semi-auto. we wanted one that would give you, no matter what your barrel length was, it's going to give you good expansion. So on a small game, you're going to get a good expansion no matter if you're shooting the thing out of a handgun or a rifle. At 25 yards or 100 yards,
Right.
you have good terminal performance to where you can harvest that animal ethically and not think twice about taking the shot.
Right.
And worried about the platform or anything else.
Yeah.
Terminal performance on Golden Hunter's a 40 grain.
Yeah, it's a 40 grain.
Yeah. Is, you need all of it.
Right. Yeah.
So-
I mean, you are messing. Rimfire by nature. It's a lighter bullet, so you want to make sure you get a good expansion no matter what. And the testing that we've already done on it, I mean, we're getting excellent expansion, whether it's out of a 4-inch barreled handgun or
and
out of a
you've
16-inch
shot
barrel.
it like you have yourself have taken those shots with the different guns at different ranges and seen those expansions, and they're consistently performing exactly how they were designed to.
Oh yeah, at 100 yards, I wouldn't think twice about taking a shot with it.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely
And
not.
like we've talked about before, in Rimfire, the name of the game is consistency. So that's what we're really looking for. And for hunting grounds, specifically with 22, you need it to perform in a revolver because people carrying around in their side pockets at the ranch. You need it to perform in, I don't know, youth size.
Yep.
22 for like kids shooting rabbits.
Little crickets or whatever the little youth single shots are.
Yeah. I mean, that's
100%.
what I started on. I assume that's what most people did.
Yep.
So you're saying that it feeds well in a single shot, feeds well in a semi.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what any type of platform you got. I mean, if my grandpa was still alive and driving his tractor around, I wouldn't think twice about handing it to him for a little 22.
Perfect. That's its intended use. I mean, Golden Hunter is our heaviest hollow point that we make. It's a high velocity, so we didn't compromise your velocity, which of course aids in terminal performance because it was a heavier bullet. It's going to deliver a substantial amount of energy for a 22 long rifle cartridge or load. And like I said, I mean, I was going to compare the expansion really kind of similar to core locked. I mean, it's like it's a very controlled expansion, consistent, and the penetration on it was no slouch. I mean, through like calibrated organics ballistics gel, it was impressive the distance that we were penetrating with adequate expansion out of that bullet. And that was, like I said, and like Jason was saying, that was through handguns at longer short ranges, rifles, longer short ranges. This other thing is like, you're, with rimfire, you're dealing with lead bullets. So if you start using, a rifle, which is going to give you a higher velocity at a shorter range, right? Like let's say you're out squirrel hunting and you got a squirrel that's like super close to you. You want to get that controlled expansion, that ethical kill, and that effective energy delivery. Well, if you use that hollow point going super fast at super close range, you're liable to blow the thing apart.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all it's going to do is it's just going to flatten out quicker.
Yep.
I mean, what speed does to a hollow point is it causes the channel to fill up and it just flattens out faster. So the faster it hits when it impacts, unless you have the hollow point designed for controlled expansion, in traditional, most 22s, I mean, they're just a hollow point. They're not designed to stage out, and they'll flatten out extremely quick. And that's what usually will get you like the shallower penetrations. But I mean, with this, you're getting we were getting 9 to 10 inches every
It's
time.
9 to 11 inches of penetration.
Yeah, depending on what we were shooting it out of every time.
The 22. That's
It was really good for a hunting round. I haven't seen
No, it was
hardly anything that can match it.
Yeah, I mean, it should give you a lot of confidence when you're out there, small varmint hunting and whatnot. That this is going to take it. So
Yeah. I mean, you were just saying 100 yards. Like that's a far 22 shot.
Yeah, but I mean,
and
it's easy with this one.
Yeah, like I'll just say this too, and this also applies to the ranch hand hollow point, but because it did also very well. It retained everything that it needed to. It expanded very well. Higher velocity, but it was lower grain weight, so you try to make up a little bit for the energy in that respect. But as far as Golden Hunter goes, specifically, we were shooting Golden Hunter through a suppressed handguns, and the smack of the gel was like twice as loud as the report of the gun, and it was like just total giggle factor. But like, it was like shooting a machine gun, like whap, and it was like, oh, that hurt.
I know. I just got my banished 22 in the mail, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, you got to try that out.
thing.
It'd be perfect.
That'd be good for that.
Yeah. That would be fun. I mean, when I hear you guys talk about Golden Hunter, like 7-year-old Audrey with her little 22 aiming at rabbits, pumped.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
It'd literally be perfect. Yep. And the other thing is that, Golden Hunter is cosmetically, we tried to retain the like Remington heritage look. So we've got that classic knurl that we have, and it does help control the expansion of the jacket. So there's a little bit of a mechanical purpose there as well. Different rounds, Ranch Hand and Golden Hunter, but totally different purposes.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Remington 22 has been classic, but you guys are like really stepping it up and bringing it into the new age, and I'm really excited to hear about it.
We got a lot of cool stuff down the pipe too. So.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll see a lot more coming.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Well, there you have it, guys. Remington is on the rise. Like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this podcast with your hunting or shooting buddies. If you want to get in contact with me or Leland and Jason here, you can email us.
She forgot my name there.
She did. She called you Leland too.
Leland, you can email us at podcast@remington.com. Thanks for listening.